Venerable, and good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to come back to IBAA study circle and give presentations, especially upon seeing so many young folks that I haven't seen before. Today is a little special, not only because I haven't given any talks for almost 6 months or so, but also because we have changed the format of the presentation. We started with a rather formal chanting and then meditation. Main reason being that we want to highlight the centrality of meditation in the practice of Buddhism, even though it's only 10 minutes meditation. Still, it's peculiar to me that I'm unaware of the decision before I set up the topic for tonight, that during our past experience, we have seen, especially among Western meditators, they have a tendency of not prepare their mind properly beforehand. And that would be precisely my topic today. Before I start talking about it, let me ask you, I assume you all know when you meditate, you need to choose my object to focus on. May I ask you, what were you focusing on a moment ago? Anyone volunteer? Anyone thinking about things happening in the past? There you go. Anyone thinking about things going to happen in the future? Nice. Anyone thinking about right here, in this moment? Very good, you are experienced. Anything thinking about how do I get out of something, out of this short meditation? None. One final question. Anyone thinking about what do I give into this short meditation? Really? Tell me. What were you thinking?
I was wondering how I should prepare my mind and what I should think about. If it should just be one topic or if I can switch between, like you said, past, present, and future.
Very good, thank you. Have you ever practiced before meditation?
I meditate to help me sleep.
That explains. And the reason I bring up this question is not just my personal experience. We have many venerables in their own personal experiences have witnessed that Western meditators often going through the entire meditation process with a grim face. Not that they were unhappy about the environment, unhappy about the teacher, or even the teaching, but because they didn't notice that their mind needed to be prepared. That idea didn't go into their head before they start meditation. Not their own, okay? It's not a part of their wrongdoing, but the way that Dhamma been taught in the United States in particular is actually going backward. And so that would be my topic today. For meditators, generosity first. Some of my routine followers were a little puzzled about the topic, generosity first. You know, when Dr. Prabhasyan noticed, they thought he was implying something else. But that's actually my topic. Now, the centrality of meditation, yes, granted, but both before and after, even during the meditation, your mind needs to be properly prepared. So let's start from that topic today. Generosity first. How would that be related to meditation? In what way and how you can best prepare yourself? The abstract idea, the conceptual notion, if you will, is generosity. The actual conduct is giving. Or, if you want to use the Pali term, dana. Either way. If you have the opportunity to read, especially the Pali Canon, claimed to be the most ancient, at least some of the most ancient scriptures, text that contains Buddha's original teaching. Whenever Buddha was delivering either sermon or some doctrinal elaboration to the audience, and especially when the majority of the audience were not monks, he almost always started with the idea of giving. For many reasons, some of them will be elaborated later, but always started with giving because of one important reason is that later you will notice, perhaps you have noticed already, that thinking about yourself getting something versus thinking about yourself giving out something generates different emotions, generates different mind qualities. For Buddhists, it is giving that will generate the desired mind quality. And it would have very important implications later on when you bring this mind, carry it over into your meditation in the hope that you can cultivate your wisdom. So the entire enlightenment process starts from soften your mind, and the actual conduct will be given. Although the form can be mental, conceptual, or material. But it's imperative that you keep in mind that it's giving. That's the most important thing. You might have some doubt. Those of you who are familiar with the Theravada way, that look, you want to emphasize the centrality of giving some doctrinal proof. Let's look at the Eightfold Noble Path. Where is giving? None. Let's look at the 7 factors that are conducive to enlightenment. Where is giving? None. Then convince me how central giving is, how central generosity is. So, it does not include giving, nor do any other requisites of enlightenment would include giving. Yet, the important should not be overlooked. And why? Think about this. The Eightfold Noble Path starts from what? Right view. Okay? What is the right view? Right view meaning, essentially, you look at things, you judge things with a wholesome mindset. What constitutes wholesome? Without greed, without aversion, without delusion. Look at the first quality, without greed. Doesn't that explain generosity? It's precisely the first quality to create a wholesome quality of your mind to start the practice of Eightfold Path. So it's so central, so important, it's already embedded in the first quality of the Eightfold Noble Path. The Buddha didn't even think that he should mention that again. Everybody follow so far? Not yet convinced? Okay, we have plenty of time. In addition to the seven factors conducive to enlightenment, and in addition to being the embedded factor conducive to the practice of Eightfold Noble Path, I can give you other examples. In Mahayana, this is a Mahayana temple. The 6 paramita often start with dana, generosity, no doubt about it. But then, when talking about to summarize all the Mahayana practices that may, in altruistic way, helping, benefiting other people, what does it start? It starts from giving, and then soft talk, loving talk, and then doing things together, sharing other people's burden. So even the Mahayana way, putting special emphasis on giving. Now, of course, the Theravada tradition, we have the 10 paramita also talking about giving, although the centrality, the focus was a little bit different. So, now, let's continue this polemic way of looking at Buddhism. You might be saying, look, I don't want to be a monk. I don't need to know that much. Fine. The fact that you are here indicating that perhaps you're a little bit interested to know, to find out what it's like to be a Buddhist or what Buddhism is all about. Here I'll give you a very quick and very precise answer. To be a Buddhist is to want to be wholesome. When the wholesomeness is being perfected, that's Buddha. As a beginner, you're a Buddhist, even as a lay follower. Me as a monk, I'm in between. So it depends on how well I practice. Okay? I'm still keep on improving my wholesomeness, verbally, physically, and most important, mentally. That part, however, can be observed through my external behavior. So, wholesomeness, inwardly, that is about generosity. Later on, I'll explain further. Although I might have to cut short my presentation, I don't want to take up too much of your time. Consequently, meaning you need to find a way to develop that conceptual generosity into actual conduct that may benefit, on the one hand, yourself, but on the other hand, other people. For the Mahayana Bodhisattva way, they may be putting more emphasis on how to benefit others. They put their own benefit in the secondary place. While the Theravada way would be saying, look, if you want to help other people in the most efficient and appropriate way, you need to prepare yourself to the best you can. So the emphasis is a little bit different. Not because we, the Theravada practitioner, are more selfish in that sense. It's just a different orientation. Okay? So, the first wholesome action of the mind is to look at this. Abstain from covetousness and to embrace generosity instead. Now, of course, all those 5 precepts that we routinely ask the lay followers at the beginning of the Dharma gathering or in a long-term retreat, we always ask the followers to look, you have come here, you need to learn something really Buddhist way. And this is what I referred to earlier about the reverse teaching of Westerners. Say in Thailand, they started teaching their kids to be generous, give food to the monks. They cultivated the idea of generosity. They softened their mind. And eventually they think, maybe now is right time for me to meditate. They take the 5 precepts on a very routine basis. What about Western meditators? You sign up for meditation retreat, you come to the meditation center, suddenly, oh, I see, now I have to take 5 precepts every morning, or 8 precepts. Okay, so you start with meditation, backward with precept. And then before you leave the meditation, at the end of the retreat, you finally get to realize you have to be generous. Starting from generous to yourself and then be generous to others. So the entire sequence is being reversed. And as you can see, it creates different results. The green phase that I just described and witnessed by many previous meditation instructors was precisely because the proper mental preparation has not been done. And it starts with the idea of generosity. Either the Theravada or Mahayana practitioners were looking for deliverance, enlightenment. So for serial Buddhists, it's not only about wholesome conduct, but eventually the perfection of wholesomeness. What does that require? It requires the ultimate giving. Giving up yourself, not in the sense kill yourself, terminate this life. No, that doesn't end anything. But to give up, to abandon the central controlling idea of I. That would be the ultimate giving. When this is done, you have achieved the highest level of giving. Now, because this is not the time to talk about that, suffice to say that both The Theravada and Mahayana way emphasizes the importance of meditation, but prior to that, it would really take some conceptual and mental preparation. All right, so we continue to give in material form and in non-material form. Still, let's continue this polemic analysis. If you're not convinced the effectiveness or beneficial nature of some practice, would it be possible for you to even engage in it? Not in the United States. That's not going to happen. I can guarantee that. Okay. So, you want to practice, you want to seek for deliverance, you want to perfect your enlightenment. How do you start? Again, here is a common trait among American or Western meditators in common. They believe it's my personal matter, it's my personal strife. Yes or no? The reason I want to emphasize is that, yes, on the one hand, it is your individual strife, but you will be much better off when doing this with other people in your mind and highlighting giving. All action requires the right condition to materialize. What would giving help you out? Let's recite some Mahayana Sutta. Here, those of you who can read the Chinese character, you know this is almost the most commonly used and recited Buddhist text among Mahayana temples, even U.S. Zen included. Okay. It says, there are 10 wholesome practices which are not taken up by anyone in any other Buddha fails. They are to attract the poor by means of generosity, to attract those of bad conduct by means of ethical discipline, and so on and so forth. 10 of them. What does it start? It starts from to attract the poor by means of generosity. But then, by comparison, that was the typical Western idea about going about, I wouldn't even calling this meditate. Think about this. Would any meditators in the Buddhist temple wear bulletproof vests? Look at their bodily posture. Look at their facial expression. Look at that poor dude. Okay, I'm really sympathetic about how they're doing this. Perhaps they were thinking that it's a very stressful duty to be on the job. Certainly, they want to help them out, but at least trying to calm yourself, trying to make you stay focused. The ironic thing is that the more you think about yourself, the more stressed or stressful you become. But when you start to think about all those people, my colleagues, they're doing the same thing online. They are also experiencing this stress. The more you relate to their stress, the less stress you feel on your own part. And that would be the right way of meditation. So this is what I said, that on the one hand, it is your own strife, but you'll be better off putting other people on your mind. So the entire mentality, the entire mechanism is, instead of thinking about how do I get out of this meditation within this short time, even with my bulletproof vest on me, you're thinking about how much more, what else more can I put into this meditation. Here, thinking about other people, having compassion would be the best way. And this is why, at the beginning when we chant the Metta Sutta, I briefly mentioned that this is a very important moment to chant that. Okay, having a compassionate mind would prepare you to engage in generous action. Again, I want to highlight the importance that even for the Mahayana practitioners, they were not exceptional. Look at this. Why do we have to put other people in mind? Here is a direct citation from the text. Let me read the Chinese. It says, 诸佛皆出人间，终不在天上成佛. Translated directly into English is that all past Buddhas, which implies all future Buddhas, had unanimously attained Buddhahood in the human world. And it had never been achieved, that Buddhahood, in the heaven, certainly down there. What's the importance about this? If you read through the sutras, either Mahayana Sutra or the Pali Sutra, you get the impression this particular world that we were given birth to is really dirty, full of suffering, certainly not pure. Why would all past Buddhas only achieve their Buddhahood in this particular world, or this particular type of world? That deserves you to think about. In the heaven, it's so pure, so happy, you don't have to think about other people. And it is precisely the fact that you really need to take care of other people in this troubled world that give you the good quality, the desired quality to achieve enlightenment, to achieve Buddhahood. So this is clearly indicated in all the traditions. Now, being meditators, I assume most of you here are experienced meditators, or at least interested, or at the very least heard of meditations. But I guess, if ever, few meditation instructors would instill into your head about the idea of you should be happy, make yourself happy, especially during meditation, before you can achieve jhana. It is true. It is virtually impossible with a blue mind, with that kind of emotion, to achieve jhana. There are several characteristics that when you have achieved jhana, these mental qualities would appear in your mind and you sense that. One of them is that merry feeling, the pleasant, joyous feeling. Without that, you are not in jhana. And that kind of mental quality can be cultivated not only through meditation, but through generous activity. This has been repeatedly reaffirmed. I have read that several articles recently, either by psychologists or psychiatrists, and even by, say, social psychologists, when they study populace, the entire populace, not just small groups. So, giving produces happy emotion. And this needs to be cultivated early on. I'm not saying that perhaps you're too old, you're all grown up here. No, not in that sense. But that, say you're now in your late 20s, early 30s, or even 50, and you started to learn the idea about the importance of generosity, and you believe you are somewhat obliged, coerced, if you will, think that I need to accumulate my merit so that I can be a good practitioner. That kind of trading off kind of mindset is not beneficial. You need to start cultivating this from your daily life, because, let me give you this one very important idea. After finishing the meditation, 1 week retreat, 1 month retreat, the instructor tells you, what's most important for you to do right now is to bring over the good, wholesome mind quality into your daily life. Granted, but they probably didn't mention, or you must have failed to listen to the other part. It is also important for you to bring into the meditation the best part of your daily life. But have you cultivated that part? Okay, think about it. So the idea is cultivating it early on is that instead of a mechanical or trading off gesture, giving things to other people in the hope you can get something in return. No, you want to make it into a habitual, very pleasant thing that you would do it for its own sake, just because it makes you happy. You are not asking, you are not hoping for anything in return. That would be the best way of giving. I have seen a picture, actually a short video clip, even for dogs. Okay, I mean, poor wandering dog without a, probably, I don't know, maybe on the street for quite a while, skinny. And there was somebody trying to give something to the dog. And basically stole it, you get it. The dog refused to take that food. Think about humans. For some humans, they probably prefer to starve to death instead of accepting food from somebody with such manners, come get it. Generosity sometimes, well, we'll come to that later. First, make it a routine. Make it the best part of the daily life, in the hope that you can bring into your meditation the best part of your mind quality. So, again, that was pretty much the Theravada idea, that it has to do with the quality of your meditation. Now let's go back to the Mahayana way of looking at giving. They not only think that this is only a precondition of warming up. This is in itself, by itself, a very important Dhamma door. Those of you who are familiar with the Mahayana literature, you know what Dhamma door means. That directly leads to enlightenment. Of course, there will be several step-by-step instructions, which I will not be able to elaborate tonight. I'm already taking up too much time. Okay. Give away your own property to whom has come to you to beg. Let me cite, once again, a very important Mahayana text. Why is it that I want to highlight this particular, give away your own property to whom has come to you to beg? Let me highlight you as an assistant. The Buddha's assistant, Venerable Ananda, he once remarked to Buddha that, I believe having good companion constitute half of our wholesome practices. The Buddha corrected him, Ananda. Having good companion is the entirety of wholesome practices. Where do you get good companions? Look at this. I said, there are people come to you to beg either for help or for food. What does the Mahayana Sutta tell you about this situation? It says, there are 4 major types of good companions. What are those 4 good companions? Read the first one. Those who come to you to ask for favors are good companions. I've just highlighted that Buddha personally corrected Ananda. Having good companion is the entirety of wholesome practices. And here you have this further elaboration. Where do you get those good companions? Those of you who come to you to ask for favor, to beg for help, for food. Those were the first foremost type of good companions. Why do you miss that? Have you ever helped them? Have you ever turned them away? Then you are not only impeding your own accumulation of merit, in some cases you might have even accumulated dismerit. So that need to be thinking twice, okay? Now, my emphasis certainly is on the first type, as far as tonight's presentation is concerned, but it would be also nice for you to know the other three types of good companions. The other good companion would be anyone who would be able to elaborate Dharma to you, be it a monk, a nun, or a fellow practitioner, as long as they can elaborate appropriately, intelligibly, okay, the Dharma to you, because Dharma produces wisdom. So anyone who can elaborate Dharma to you will be your good companion. The third one, oftentimes highlighted in the Theravada tradition, but nowadays we actually try to downplay the importance of it. What does it say? It says those who encourage other people to seek for a what? Ordination, to become a homeless monk. That would be also a good companion. Now, because geographical, historical reasons, that might be something different in today's world. Finally, the Buddha himself will be a good companion because he produces more Buddha Dhamma for we to learn from. So those were the four good type, ideal type of good companions. Think about Buddha already passed. Okay, you don't often meet anyone who encourages you to go for homelessness, to be a monk. You probably are equally unlikely to meet someone who are able to elaborate the Dharma to you in the most appropriate way. What you can get most, especially on your own, would be helping those people come to you for help. Okay, that would be your source of good companion. Our past experience shows that you yourself, myself included, probably your own biggest enemy. There are four possible qualities, mental qualities, that may hinder your practice of giving, which include miserly attitude. I've just mentioned that. It also includes not practicing it. Knowing about the benefits, knowing the appropriate way, does not necessarily mean you would do it. Again, the Pali Canon, especially those familiar with the Pali literature, often cite the Buddha as a great physician, in the sense that he was the most capable person of diagnosing the problem of your illness. He was also the most competent doctor to prescribe the right medicine for you. But then the next one is the most important. Whether or not the patient take up the medicine is not the responsibility of the doctor. And that really happens quite often. Okay? You know the way, you know the benefit, but you just don't do it. Okay? So here it refers to that, not practicing generosity. The third is not regarding it as worthwhile to give small gifts. Some people, for whatever reason, do not believe the causality between causes and effect. They believe that there are things that people doing bad things, but we don't see them get the unpleasant effects. Okay, we have also seen that we have people who remain virtuous throughout his or her whole lifetime, but suffered a very tragic death. So they have a question about this. What's the benefit of being generous? Now, I'll find other opportunities to elaborate on that idea. We have plenty of Buddhist literature elaborate on that, okay? For now, okay, this is a major mental impediment for you to practice giving. The fourth mental impediment would be looking for worldly rewards, meaning you're expecting something in exchange. There was a very famous Chinese story happened between the first Venerable Bodhidharma and the Emperor Liang. This was the first Chinese emperor who really devotedly support the development of Buddhism. He himself actually tried to be a monk several times. And it was in one particular occasion, the emperor summoned the Bodhidharma and asked him, Venerable, I have constructed so many temples in my own kingdom. I have helped ordain so many monks and nuns in my kingdom. I have also established so many Buddha statues, published the Buddha Sutras. Pray tell me how much merit I have accumulated. The unfortunately honest Bodhidharma answered, none. You can imagine how displeased the emperor was, but he was telling the truth. When you have that kind of mindset, that I'm doing this and this and this, in exchange and expecting I get some merit. Yes, you still do get some merit. That will be greatly watered down. So don't ever do that. You may not notice the result immediately, but eventually you'll find out. By that time, probably it's too late. And one interesting related idea, I'm not suggesting that all generosity or generous activities are useful. The question is, can there be any possible existence of useless generosity? Yes, it is possible. Let's look at this interesting photo. Recognize that? Robin Hood? Is he practicing generosity? Yes or no? Yeah, I have seen several nodding heads. Not in Buddhist sense. The true generous activity need to be wholesome, both in the ends and in the means. Robin Hood probably had a very praiseworthy motivation, but the means that he adopted, questionable. Okay, and even his motivation, can you safely say that he never had any selfish motivation? I don't see that from the storyline. Okay, so this is just an example that we oftentimes fail to notice that the important sequence is that both the end and the means need to be wholesome, so that you create a wholesome result. So yes, indeed, there is the possibility some generosity can be useless, or even counterproductive, if you will. And I don't mean to criticize the Mahayana or the practitioners of the Bodhisattva way. Sometimes they love to highlight, look, you are Hinayanas. We, Mahayanas, we have nobler minds. We want to practice the so-called extreme generosity, namely giving out my eyes, my body parts. You can also see the report, documentation of the Theravada Arahants doing this. Do we encourage the practice of this kind of generosity? The best I can answer is that there is a reason that these kinds of generosity are being qualified as difficult or extreme generosity, meaning they are only doable for accomplished arahants. For us, at least you can aspire to that, mentally giving out the precious body part or anything that are valuable to you, at least mentally giving them out, and hoping, keep on practicing in future lives, you'll be truly able to physically conduct those very hard, extreme generosity. So far, I'm highlighting your own part, our own part. In addition to your self-strive, sometimes external conditions are also helpful. Now, here is one. The recipient quality and gift type are also important. It's not hard to imagine the merit that you can accumulate between when you've given something to the Buddha and he accepted, versus when you give something to an accomplished arahant and he or she accepted, versus you're giving something to this teacher, to maybe Professor Belvoir, to your colleague. They all accumulate merit to some different degree. And it is clearly indicated, even Buddha himself elaborated on this, that the more morally purified, morally accomplished practitioner would be the more ideal recipient of your giving conduct. But not in the sense of restricting that you only look for those type of people. No. I have been emphasizing so far, and I really wish you can get this idea that try to make it into your daily routine. You are happy with it, okay? Regardless of which recipient it can be. The so-called Arahant, the Buddha, oftentimes in the Chinese literature, they were described as the so-called field of merit, or in the Pali term would be punya. Okay? Still, whether or not that particular recipient constitutes a good field of merit, that's another story. Finally, one final help and one final reminder, if you will, if you are a reminder. When you are not doing well in your meditation, when you're experiencing difficulties, what can you do? The Sutta tells you clearly, try to review past generosity that you have conducted already. It would help a lot. I have explained why. It creates the happy feeling, it softens your mind. But think about this. When at that moment it occurs to you, now it's time for me to review my past generosity. Now, what past generosity I have conducted? Oh, now you know the importance. Okay, so keep on doing it, no matter how small it is. Not only it helps in your current life in terms of improving personal relationship, also helping you in your meditation, but in the future in terms of accumulating your merit. I am taking up really too much time, and I apologize for cutting your presentations too short. Hopefully this special occasion, that this important message would have some beneficial effects on especially the young meditator. Okay, thank you.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.